that previous interview and take you straight to Washington, where Secretary of State John Kerry is talking about the incident with Iran.
As a former sailor myself, as General mentioned, I know as well as anybody how important our naval presence is around the world, and certainly in the Gulf region. And I could not be, and I know the President could not be, prouder of our men and women in uniform. I also want to thank the Iranian authorities for their cooperation and quick response. These are always situations which, as everybody here knows, have an ability, if not properly guided, to get out of control. And I'm appreciative for the quick and appropriate response of the Iranian authorities. All indications suggest or tell us that our sailors were well taken care of, provided with blankets and food, and assisted with their return to the fleet earlier today. And I think we can all imagine how a similar situation might have played out 3 or 4 years ago. And in fact, it is clear that today this kind of issue was able to be peacefully resolved and efficiently resolved, and that is a testament to the critical role that diplomacy plays in keeping our country safe, secure, and strong. And that is really at the core of what I am here to talk about today. As all of you know, yesterday President Obama delivered his final State of the Union address. And I might add, for my part, with nearly 29 years in the United States Senate, I have been attending State of the Union messages since 1985. Ronald Reagan was my first. So it was my last, too. The President's agenda for 2016, it is clear from the speech he gave last night, is bold and ambitious. And I think that is particularly true when it comes to foreign policy. The reason for that is simple. In this extraordinarily complicated time, the demand for United States leadership, the demand for leadership everywhere, but the demand particularly for leadership from what the President appropriately called the most powerful nation in the world, is as high as it has ever been. And we understand that, and we accept that responsibility willingly. That is why the United States will remain more engaged in more places around the world than at any other time in history. The President's primary responsibility, as all of you know, is and always has been to protect the people of our country, protect the American people. He underscored that again last night. And I know that each of you here can relate to that, because NDU's mission is to educate, develop, and inspire national security leaders, not all of them from our country, but to inspire national security leaders. And many of you here today have already contributed significantly to our nation's security and safety, including some of you on the front lines of battle. And we are grateful, very grateful for that. The goal of keeping our country safe for American officials, but I know I'm talking to visiting parts of the world, the goal for all of you, with respect to your own countries, and at the core of everybody's foreign policy, is to have a strategy that most effectively represents the interests and values of your nation. That is our role. Certainly a big part of achieving that is addressing the immediate crises of the day. And believe me, they arise suddenly and without anticipation. I was yesterday sitting with Secretary of Defense Carter to my left, and with the Secretary of Foreign Affairs and of Defense from the Philippines to our right, when we got a message regarding our 2 vessels in the Gulf and the fact that they were at Farsi Island. So things can change in a nanosecond. As we plan for the coming year, we are focused on looking for long-term solutions, not the crises of the day, but on finding a way to lay the groundwork for security and stability for decades to come. Now, some people look around at the daily headlines and they suggest that the world is increasingly chaotic and doomed to disorder. Well, I'm about to enter my 4th year as Secretary of State, and let me make it clear from all that I have experienced, from all that I have seen, I strongly disagree with that judgment. Yes, there are challenges. When are there not? But as I travel the world, as I talk to foreign ministers, prime ministers, presidents, people all across this planet, I don't sense an unraveling of the global fabric. On the contrary, I see a world that in critical areas is actually coming together. Now, obviously, in some respects, 2015 was a year of turbulence and tragedy. But the fact is, we also saw and measured remarkable advances in every single corner of the globe.
All right, we're listening to Secretary of State John Kerry. He's speaking in Washington, and he touched a little bit on the incident between Iran and those 10 sailors who were detained for a period of time. He once again thanked Iranian authorities for their cooperation, quick response, and appropriate response in releasing these sailors as rapidly as they did.
Yeah, and he also, just a moment ago, you heard him explain that he was in a meeting, actually, with Defense Secretary Ash Carter and top military officials from the Philippines when he got word of these 2 vessels and the 10 American sailors. We're going to go ahead and continue to listen to this event from Secretary Kerry, but we want to get you caught up on some other news. So for now, a quick break. We'll get you caught up on the day's other top stories when we come back. You're watching CBS.